They once seemed like the picture-perfect family, glowing under Hollywood's bright lights. But beyond the glamorous photos and big smiles, there was a storm brewing that hardly anyone guessed. Today, whispers about Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes, and their daughter Suri have grown too loud to ignore. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes captured the public's attention as if they were characters straight out of a romantic Hollywood script. Katie was already well known for her role as Joey Potter on Dawson's Creek. Tom had cemented his status as one of the industry's top stars, famous for his action-packed roles and award-winning performances. Yet for Katie, there was always a bit of wonder in the air. She had once called Tom her dream man during an interview with 17 magazine. When she and her then-fiancé Chris Klein called off their engagement, life took a surprising turn. She was introduced to Tom, and the connection was immediate. Their relationship grew at lightning speed, and fans were thrilled. Soon, people started noticing how much Tom's life revolved around Scientology, a religion that was new to Katie. This belief system would soon prove to be a big factor in how their relationship unfolded. Before Katie, Tom had been married to Mimi Rogers and later to Nicole Kidman. Those marriages did not work out, and some people believe Tom's dedication to Scientology played a part in the splits. In fact, a few former members of the church have claimed that the organization was involved in finding him potential partners who would share his devotion to Scientology. For instance, actresses like Sofia Vergara and Scarlett Johansson were rumored to have been approached by church members, though Johansson strongly denied that claim. Rumors aside, it was clear that Tom wanted a partner who could embrace his religion as strongly as he did. Nicole Kidman, it is said, did not want to stay connected to Scientology. That caused tension in her marriage to Tom. When Katie came along, many observers wondered if she was ready to handle such a deep commitment to the church. There were also stories about a woman named Nazanin Bonyadi, who was rumored to have been part of a kind of audition process to be Tom's girlfriend. This allegedly included strict rules about what she could wear and what she could do. However, that relationship ended quickly. Then came Katie, who seemed willing to merge her life with Tom's from the start. In 2005, the world witnessed Tom declare his love for Katie in a way that was both unforgettable and, for some, a little too much. Appearing on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Tom jumped up on Oprah's couch, unable to contain his excitement. He brought Katie on stage, hugged her, and announced to everyone that he was in love. Some fans found this sweet, while others felt it was over the top. Either way, it became a pop culture moment that stuck in everyone's memory. This outburst did overshadow Tom's promotional activities for his film War of the Worlds. Paramount Pictures, which produced the movie, reportedly was not too thrilled that the media was more interested in Tom's personal life than in the film itself. It was the first sign that the relationship's high publicity might be overshadowing their careers, and that there might be more going on behind the scenes than people realized. Tom proposed to Katie in 2005 at the Eiffel Tower, which some might say is one of the most romantic spots in the world. He did not drop to one knee, but Katie still got a dazzling 5-carat yellow diamond ring. The couple then announced that they were expecting their first child. Tom, in his usual hands-on way, even bought a sonogram machine so he could watch the baby's growth at home, though medical experts advise that such devices should only be operated by trained personnel. On April 18, 2006, Katie gave birth to Suri. This took place quietly, very quietly in fact. Following Scientology's guidelines, Katie was encouraged to keep the delivery room as silent as possible because the church teaches that spoken words or loud noises can negatively affect the mother and child during birth. Whether Katie truly embraced this method or simply felt pressured, many found the practice unusual. It was an early sign of the lengths to which Katie was willing to go to respect Tom's faith. Meanwhile, Katie's parents, devout Catholics, had their reservations. They were concerned about their daughter's sudden shift into the realm of Scientology. Despite their worries, they attended Tom and Katie's lavish wedding in Italy in 2006, which cost an estimated $3.5 million. The ceremony was filled with Scientology traditions that left some guests puzzled. For instance, Tom's vows mentioned that girls need clothes and food, a pan, a comb, and a cat. Though some found this humorous or odd, the couple seemed wrapped in marital bliss, for a while at least. Katie's parents weren't the only ones raising eyebrows. The media noted plenty of red flags at the wedding. Katie took an unusually long time to walk down the aisle. People like actress Leah Remini, who attended as a Scientologist at the time, recalled that the wait felt forever. Leah also later shared that Tom had specifically asked her to bring Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony, which demonstrated how entwined Hollywood connections in Tom's personal life had become. Still, for that one day, the event appeared magical. Katie wore 2 customized Giorgio Armani gowns. Her daughter Suri, who was just a baby, also had a little dress made by the same designer. The wedding seemed like a fairy tale, yet behind the scenes, Scientology and Tom's need for control were lurking. As time went on, Katie's demeanor changed. She seemed more reserved and was rarely without a Scientology minder or personal handler. After the wedding, those close to Katie started noticing shifts in her behavior. Some said she looked stiff or that she hardly displayed any of her old bubbly personality. She appeared to be under watchful eyes. Tom's Scientology associates were reportedly around her all the time. Katie's old friends faded from her life, and she stopped talking about her previous routines. In interviews, she would repeatedly call Tom amazing, but her tone seemed forced. Journalists who had once known Katie as warm and open grew concerned that she was losing her sense of self. Jenna Miscavige Hill, the niece of Scientology leader David Miscavige, shared her own story about life in the church. She spoke about both mental and physical strains she had encountered. When Katie eventually decided to end her marriage, Jenna voiced support, saying that Katie likely did it to protect herself and Suri from the church's overbearing influence. In June 2012, Katie filed for divorce, catching Tom completely off guard. He later said he didn't see it coming. The split happened just days before he turned 50, marking a bitter milestone during a time that was supposed to be celebratory. Tom talked about how he needed a sense of humor to cope, but the pain was obvious. While Tom focused on his 2 older adopted children, Connor and Isabella, who remained devoted to him and Scientology, Katie moved quickly to secure her freedom. She sought sole custody of Suri, making it clear that her daughter's well-being was her top priority. In the days following the filing, Katie was seen out and about in New York City, often smiling more freely than she had in years. To many, it looked like she had finally broken free from a life that felt controlled and stifling. Many people suspected that Scientology had been a key factor in the divorce. Tom was even asked during a deposition if Katie had left him to shield their daughter from Scientology's teachings. Tom found the question insulting, but he did confirm that Katie had given this as part of her reasoning. Jenna Miscavige Hill publicly backed Katie's decision, saying she understood why Katie did not want Suri to grow up within Scientology. Jenna felt strongly that Katie had made the move to protect her child, recognizing that the religion's doctrines could place a heavy burden on families. Katie did not emerge from the divorce with massive alimony, even though Tom was said to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Instead, she secured $400,000 per year in child support for Suri until Suri turned 18. That adds up to about $4.8 million, far less than Tom's fortune. However, Tom agreed to cover Suri's major expenses, such as healthcare and education. Observers noted that Katie's father, Martin Holmes, an attorney, played a big part in protecting his daughter's interests. He had negotiated a prenuptial agreement that was quite elaborate, reportedly filling up 5 entire boxes with paperwork. When Katie filed for divorce, the case wrapped up in just 11 days, which is quite fast for a Hollywood divorce. Some suggested Katie might have demanded less money so she could have more freedom in raising Suri, including religious choices. Accepting a lower financial sum could potentially help ensure Scientology stayed out of their lives. Once Katie's divorce was finalized, she moved with Suri to New York City. Friends said Katie looked happier and less tense. She dived into various projects, including directing, producing, and acting in films. Katie talked about exploring her creative side in a way she felt she couldn't before. She saw it as a fresh start and an opportunity to discover who she was outside of her marriage. The divorce agreement reportedly said Katie could not openly date anyone for 5 years. She also agreed not to introduce Suri to any romantic partners during that time. Yet despite these restrictions, Katie began a quiet relationship with actor Jamie Foxx around 2013. They kept things very private, rarely appearing in public together. The relationship continued until 2019. Although they eventually went their separate ways, Katie mentioned that she valued the chance to reclaim her own decisions and build a life she felt was authentically hers. Tom's family life has been complicated for a long time. He has two adopted children with Nicole Kidman, Connor and Isabella. Both kids stayed connected to Scientology as they grew older, which allowed them to maintain a bond with their father. Bella, short for Isabella, became an artist and generally avoided the public eye. She married in London without either Tom or Nicole in attendance, but she has denied any rift and insists her family remains supportive in their own ways. Connor explored music and acting at one point, but he also largely keeps out of the spotlight. On the rare occasion they are seen together, it's often in situations that reflect Tom's adventurous spirit, such as helicopter rides. With both Connor and Bella apparently content to remain in Scientology, their relationships with Tom seem stable compared to what has happened between Tom and Suri. Ever since Katie and Tom parted ways, the biggest mystery has been Tom's relationship with Suri. Public sightings of the two together have been non-existent since around 2012. Nobody seems sure exactly how often, if at all, Tom has reached out to his daughter. Some sources say he has made minimal effort to see Suri, while others claim he quietly supports her from a distance. Hollywood Life once reported that Tom still loves Suri deeply and hopes to fix their relationship one day. But the simple fact is that, from what anyone can tell, Suri's life has proceeded without much input from her dad. She has grown up in New York, surrounded by her mom's family and friends, with no public signs of Tom's involvement. April 18th was always an important date for Katie Holmes, as it was Suri's birthday. This year, though, it held extra meaning because Suri officially became an adult. She turned 18 and is now at the threshold of forging her own path. Over the years, Katie and Suri have stuck together, living a life far from Tom's orbit. Now that she is 18, Suri's child support payments from Tom ended, unless there are separate deals about other expenses like tuition. Shortly before Suri hit this milestone birthday, rumors swirled that Katie was worried about losing Tom's financial support. Her lawyer, Jonathan Wolfe, was quick to squash that, calling it false and stating that Katie's finances would not be harmed. Katie appeared fully prepared for Suri's next step in life, whether Tom continued contributing beyond child support or not. Suri, meanwhile, has been charting her own course. She has a knack for creativity, much like both of her parents. Katie even brought her daughter aboard some of her film projects. Suri's singing voice appeared on the soundtracks of two of Katie's movies, Alone Together and Rare Objects. Katie said she loves including Suri's talents in her work, explaining that it feels natural for them to collaborate in safe, supportive spaces. As if stepping into adulthood wasn't big enough news, Suri took another bold move that caught people's attention. She began going by Suri Noel, using Katie's middle name as her new surname. According to reports in Page 6, Suri wanted to cultivate her own identity. She felt that adopting a name tied to her mother underscored the deep bond they share, separate from Tom's legacy. For a lot of fans, this choice was symbolic. It strongly hinted that Suri wants to stand under Katie's umbrella rather than be linked to Tom. Whether this will make it harder for Tom and Suri to reconnect in the future remains to be seen. But for now, it looks like Suri is standing firmly beside her mom. Another milestone came when Suri graduated from high school. She had a small celebration in New York City, surrounded by loved ones, except Tom. Instead, Tom was spotted at a VIP section of a Taylor Swift concert, laughing and having fun with celebrities like Hugh Grant, Ashton Kutcher, and Mila Kunis. Social media lit up with commentary about how Tom chose a star-studded concert over his daughter's big day. This became a fresh topic of debate. Did Tom's faith keep him away? Or was he simply putting his career and social life first? The truth, as always, might be more complicated than it appears on the surface. Despite the absence of her father, Suri has not let any negativity stop her. She recently decided to attend Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. When her high school hosted Decision Day, Suri wore a school sweatshirt, making her choice very clear. In August, she and Katie were seen hauling boxes and suitcases into Suri's dorm, a moment many parents can relate to as they drop their kids off at college. Katie then headed back to New York to return to her routine, leaving Suri in her new environment. While it's only a couple of hours drive from NYC, it's a big step for someone who grew up in the spotlight. Suri has also made a few visits home, including one to catch her mom performing in a Broadway production of Our Town. Katie's family came along too, sharing backstage photos. It isn't certain if Suri was in any of the pictures, but it was a clear show of support for Katie's ongoing career on the stage. Katie and Suri have been seen stepping out in New York City multiple times, often dressed in casual but trendy outfits. Suri leans toward relaxed looks, like navy pants and oversized jackets, while Katie often sticks to classic pieces, like a camel coat over simple sweatpants. People love to spot them in their matching sunglasses or cozy scarves. Katie still calls Suri an incredible person and appears grateful for the strong connection they share. In interviews, Katie has said that she wants to protect Suri from media frenzy, mindful that the girl has been in the public eye since birth. Their outings in the city always seem to balance normal day-to-day life with a touch of star quality. While Katie and Suri continue their routine in New York and at college, Tom remains focused on big film projects. He starred in Mission, Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1 and has been busy working on Dead Reckoning Part 2, slated for release on May 21st, 2025. On top of that, he has a very ambitious film in the works with NASA and SpaceX. Tom hopes to become the first civilian actor to film scenes aboard the International Space Station, possibly even doing a spacewalk. Tom has spoken about pushing boundaries in cinema, always wanting to go bigger and bolder. Many fans admire his dedication to stunts and high adrenaline performances. However, others wonder if his energy for extraordinary projects might be overshadowing personal connections, especially with Suri. That's the million-dollar question. Will Tom and Suri find a path to each other, or have they grown too far apart? Some insiders believe that once Suri grows older and can make her own decisions without Katie's involvement, she might approach Tom directly. Others point out that as a devoted Scientologist, Tom may face strict guidelines about interacting with those who are no longer part of the church. In some cases, Scientology promotes disconnection, a practice that instructs members to limit or cut ties with people who disagree with church teachings. But whether or not Tom follows such guidelines in his personal life remains unconfirmed. He has always stayed tight-lipped about the details. Katie, for her part, has moved on. Her focus has been on raising Suri in a warm, stable environment far from the controlling aspects she experienced. She's worked consistently in film and on Broadway, forging a path that is distinctly her own. Every once in a while, reporters ask her about Tom, but she rarely offers much detail. She seems determined to protect Suri from any drama. So where does all of this leave the Cruz Holmes household? Each person is forging a separate path. Tom is working on huge Hollywood projects, including one that could see him flying to space. Katie is busier than ever, directing and acting in projects that speak to her creative passions. Suri is settling into college life, forging her independence and staying close to her mother. It's a story that feels part cautionary tale and part Hollywood legend, a short but memorable marriage that led to big shifts in many people's lives. While Katie once seemed starstruck by Tom, she ultimately stepped away, apparently to shield herself and Suri from a life under constant watch by Scientology members. Still, fans who followed Tom's movies throughout the decades remember the genuine charm and warmth he often displayed in interviews and behind the scenes. They wonder if that Tom could re-emerge as a dad who reconnects with his youngest daughter. The spark of hope remains among some observers, though evidence of a reunion has yet to appear. As it stands, none of the three main individuals in this story, Tom, Katie, or Suri, have announced any specific steps toward family healing. That hasn't stopped fans and the media from speculating. Some believe that once Tom finishes his intense filming schedule, he might make time for Suri. Others think that if Suri wants to see her father, she will reach out directly now that she's an adult. But for the moment, their paths appear distinct. In many celebrity families, public drama unfolds before our eyes, but in this case, the biggest developments have happened behind closed doors, leaving most people to guess. Katie has her reasons for staying quiet, most likely to protect Suri from public scrutiny. Tom, too, rarely discusses his personal life, and Scientology stands as a locked door that outsiders can only speculate about. What's certain is that the choices made have shaped a new kind of normal for both Katie and Suri. They have built a loving, low-profile life in Manhattan. We see glimpses of them going for a walk or visiting art galleries, but rarely do they speak about Tom. Whether that's because they prefer peace or because it's too painful to discuss, no one really knows. Actress Leah Remini was once one of Scientology's most famous faces before she left the church and began speaking out against it. She has often noted that the church tries to control members through loyalty tests, special courses, and confessions. According to Leah, people who leave Scientology are sometimes labeled suppressive persons. Loyal Scientologists are urged to cut off contact with these suppressive folks. Katie, by all appearances, left Scientology behind when she walked away from Tom. It isn't official if the church labeled her in this way, but many assume so, given her divorce terms and her clear desire to raise Suri outside the faith. If that is the case, Tom might feel restricted from having a normal relationship with either Katie or Suri unless the church gave its approval. Leah Remini and others who left have voiced compassion for Katie's situation, applauding her for putting Suri's interests first. Bella and Connor, Tom's children with Nicole Kidman, have stayed within Scientology circles. As a result, they have had a more typical Scientology upbringing, which might be why they continue to see Tom. Bella occasionally posts about her life online, but seldom mentions Tom or Nicole. Connor, meanwhile, still shows up in public with Tom once in a while, bonding over activities like helicopter rides or special events. By contrast, Suri's childhood has been almost entirely separate from Tom ever since the divorce. She grew up primarily with Katie, who did everything possible to shield her from church influence. Now as an adult, Suri has the freedom to explore her own beliefs. If she chooses not to join Scientology, it could remain a dividing line between her and Tom. Katie's film career has taken interesting twists since her divorce. She started writing, directing, and acting in smaller, more personal films. In two of those projects, Alone Together and Rare Objects, Suri's voice can be heard performing musical tracks. Katie has said she loves adding Suri's talent to the mix, describing it as an organic extension of their day-to-day life. The mother and daughter's creative partnership is often praised because it highlights a genuine bond, one built on shared interests instead of forced public appearances. Industry insiders say Suri's voice has a calm, pleasant tone, and some wonder if she will expand into music or acting one day. For now, it appears college is her focus, and any involvement in showbiz is purely for fun. Despite the high-profile nature of the people involved, there's a strong sense of secrecy around this family drama. Katie seldom gives interviews about her divorce or about how Suri feels regarding Tom. Suri, for her part, has no official social media, or if she does, it's kept strictly private. Tom rarely mentions Suri in his interviews. When asked about fatherhood, he usually talks about how much he loves his children, but the discussion tends to shift quickly to his latest movie or his enthusiasm for doing his own stunts. He's famously charismatic when promoting films, and interviewers sometimes hesitate to press him on personal topics for fear of being cut off. The result is a lot of unanswered questions. The public only has bits and pieces, court documents, paparazzi photos, and rumors from unnamed sources. But from the outside, it seems Katie has full ownership of Suri's upbringing. Tabloids had a field day when Tom and Katie got together, labeling them Tomcat and exhaustively covering every twist and turn. The birth of Suri was big news. Photos of the baby sold for large sums, and rumors kept swirling about the marriage. Was it real love or a publicity stunt? Then came the abrupt divorce, which fueled an entirely new wave of speculation. Yet over time, the frenzy died down, partially because Katie took strong measures to keep Suri out of the public eye. The tabloids moved on to other stories, and Tom mostly stuck to talking about his movie roles. It demonstrates that, in Hollywood, even the biggest dramas can fade away if the celebrities involved refuse to feed the rumor mill. There's a reason people continue to talk about this story. It has all the elements of a blockbuster: a huge star, an up-and-coming actress, a whirlwind romance, and a mysterious religion. But at its core, it's also about a family dealing with separation, faith, and growing up under intense scrutiny. Even after all these years, Tom Cruise remains a box office sensation, while Katie Holmes has gracefully carved out her own niche in acting and directing. Shuri, for her part, navigates her teenage and now college years in a relatively private manner, a big feat given her dad's fame. Each time new details emerge, such as Shuri's name change or her college plans, people are reminded of how unusual her childhood has been. Tom's jump on Oprah's couch is still referenced anytime fans talk about celebrity overexcitement or public declarations of love. It marks a point in pop culture when everything Tom did was news, and Katie was thrust into the heart of that whirlwind. The moment was once seen as a grand, if somewhat goofy, romantic gesture. But looking back, some view it as an early sign that things were not entirely grounded. What started with so much loud affection ended quietly, with a lightning-fast divorce and a near-complete removal of Tom from Shuri's life. The dramatic shift from the world's top gossip story to a hush-hush arrangement underscores how complicated or even heartbreaking real life can be behind the bright flash of cameras. Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes, and their daughter Shuri once seemed like a dazzling trio, but time has taken them down separate roads. While Tom continues to chase ambitious acting feats, possibly even in outer space, Katie and Shuri remain grounded in New York, focusing on work, college, and simply living life beyond the spotlight. As for whether Tom and Shuri will ever truly mend their bond, that's a question with no obvious answer. It could happen, or it might not. In the meantime, Katie and Shuri's strong mother-daughter bond has become the center of their shared life, offering them a sense of stability far from the pressures of Hollywood and the complexities of Scientology. What do you think? Is there hope for Tom and Shuri to become close once again? Or have the choices made over the years put too much distance between them? For now, the world can only watch and wait. Until we learn more, this family story remains a poignant example of how fame, faith, and personal choices can all collide, sometimes strengthening relationships, but other times tearing them apart. And while the spotlight may occasionally shift, the deeper questions of loyalty, love, and belief continue to echo quietly in the background.